Everything's ready. Bam, bam. Drain the coffee out. Cat really likes the new patio door. She does, she does. And here we go. All right, we got this stuff. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. So good. Well, let's see. Starting to cool back off. I think. Good morning, Frank. I think we've had our last days of really warm weather, which makes me sad. Got a bunch of low 70s, coming and going, but I certainly see some 30s, some lows in the 30s on their way. We'll see what manages to grow outside before that happens. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The heat keeps trying to turn on, and I keep telling it to stop. And it listens, but I really should turn it off, so it can't. That's okay. What was yesterday? Yesterday was a day of meetings, and a day of no-shows in meetings. I don't know what it is. I don't know if everybody has this many no-shows. We had a podcast episode that was a no-show. Zuza, come here. And then we had, then I had a consulting meeting that was a no-show. Frustrating. Time wasteful. Of course, I made the best out of both of them. Ended up getting a lot of good stuff done. You know what I did yesterday? I recorded episode 2 of Who'd Win. It happened. Finally happened. I recorded it. It's out there. It's all for editing. Zuza! Stop being a brat. It's too early for the cat. I hear her. She's being weird. Come here. Come here. Stop being a pill. All right. And come sit. Nope, she's just gonna sit there. All right. I'm tired and unfocused, as you can tell. My apologies. So I recorded that. Did have one interview yesterday morning. Went really well. I think I got another one coming. No, there's a couple more next week. I think they are all Tuesdays. And I'm going to reschedule with this person. There's another person from last week that I got to reschedule with. And I came up with a theory on how we fix that, because oftentimes the no-shows are people that just don't end up in the communication path. They'll agree to do it, and then they don't fill out guest forms or send us anything. So I've got a theory. So we're going to test. Ooh. When Leslie comes back, we'll discuss it. So, and what's going on today? A couple more meetings, and going to the massage therapist. Got something in here I'm going to have worked on. Coaching some CrossFit tonight. Another networking meeting drink thing tonight. Just continuing to build the consulting. It's growing, and we're almost at the point where I can start throwing some money back at whistlekick. Oh, and here's some good news. This was confirmed yesterday. So I think I told you guys last week there was an issue with one of the manufacturers where their email got hacked and I got scammed. They have agreed that we're going to try again. Well, that we are going to do it again, but they're going to charge me half. So we're both losing out, but it's the best way forward, and I really respect them for that. It stinks, but based on what I'm expecting their margins to be, they should be out a little bit of labor and no materials. So, all right. Now we got some questions. Let's get into them. If you want to ask me a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. I mean, who doesn't like having questions answered by a guy in a robe? Imagine for a moment that you have traveled back in time to ancient feudal Japan. What differences do you think you would notice about karate practice then versus now? Now, my understanding of martial arts in Japan back then is that it was heavily restricted. That if you were not part of the samurai class, you were not permitted to learn. Now, I'm sure people did learn. But outside of the kabuto, the weapons of Okinawa, I'm not familiar. Not saying it didn't happen, but I'm not familiar with weapons from mainland Japan of that era outside of Okinawa and kabuto. Okay, so if we're going back to feudal Japan, we're prior to that, we're prior to Okinawa and kabuto, and I'm guessing there isn't a whole lot that's going to do much against a sword and armor. That it's probably more Japanese version of boxing than anything else, because it would be the peasant class fighting with each other. If we take a look at what the samurai were doing, I'm expecting that they would have family lines of instruction as well as tutors. And what else? What else would I imagine? I'm going to guess that the piece that I'm not sure of is how much it was an art form versus not being an art form. So, like, if you listen to Monday's episode of Susan Span, you heard her talk a lot about calligraphy and the similarities between calligraphy and martial arts, like kendo. So I'm imagining that the approach to samurai ways and swordsmanship back then were likely similar to the way they would have approached calligraphy. It would have been for, again, certain classes of people, and they would have drilled it and practiced it, and I'm guessing there would have been some arrogance as they were dealing with lower classes. There were probably a few people who were really good, you know, your Musashis of the day, but I'm going to guess that most people were adequate. Oh, great. Just heard the cat throw up. Awesome. Question 2. Of the 5 guiding principles of karate, character, sincerity, effort, self-control, courtesy, which do you think people struggle with the most? See, I'm not familiar with that list. I'm familiar with the Taekwondo list, which is very similar. Character, sincerity, effort, self-control, courtesy. I'm gonna guess sincerity. Lately, I've realized that one of the big challenges a lot of people have is being honest with themselves. Most of the times, if someone's dishonest with someone else, the impact isn't that big of a deal. You know, to say, oh, I want to go to this restaurant. They really don't. They want to go to this restaurant, or you know, whatever it is. But people delude themselves pretty substantially. They convince themselves that they don't want something that they really do, that their dreams are unattainable. And thus people live these lives that are not what they could be. They're not actually living what they want. And I wish people would be willing to be honest. It's better to be honest with yourself about what you want and not get it than to lie and never have a chance. You have to put out into the world what you want. You have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself and with others. Otherwise, it can never happen. This is something I'm learning. I've never been afraid of being honest about what I want, but over the last couple years, I've become very direct, even hell-bent at times, on reaching for what is important to me. Our last question of the day, and then I get to go deal with that mess. Thanks, Kat. How do you think people can best overcome the above-mentioned struggle? Well, how can people get better at being honest with themselves? I think it's a process. I think it's a long process, and I think that in that process is the recognition that you deserve it. If you think you don't deserve the things that you want, you will convince yourself that you don't want them. But you do. Probably have to work your butt off for them. If I right now was to go start training, let's say I started training capoeira again. And I don't know if you're familiar with capoeira, but there are a lot of kind of acrobatic and impressive movements. I've turned 40. It would be very easy for me to say, oh, I don't want, it's not important to me to learn those and to understand the full complement of what capoeira is. And I could say it convincingly. And I could tell others. And they would believe me. And if I started to try and I failed, I could step back and say, well, I'm too old. Guess what? I don't actually believe that. There was no doubt in my mind that I could accomplish any of those movements. It would take time. It would take effort. I would get banged up getting there. But I'm also someone that within a year of gymnastics training went from 0 gymnastics experience to a standing backflip and a unassisted front flip. I figured it out. I had help. I didn't just figure it out, but I learned. And there are a lot of people who would say, oh, I never learned gymnastics as a child. I could never do that as an adult. I did it. I could do that. I have no doubt in my mind I could do anything with the right amount of time and effort. I have to truly want to do it. So I guess that really ties back into one of the other principles that were mentioned, effort. So the solution to sincerity is effort. Good questions today. I like these. All right. Well, I think you know what your homework is going to be. Of these 5 principles, sincerity, effort, character, self-control, courtesy, which one do you struggle with the most? What do you need to do to get better at it? Feel free to share. You don't have to. Don't forget, we do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, only on YouTube. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you get the alert that we're live. Bring your own cup of coffee. If you want to get one like this one, go to whistlekick.com. Sign up for the newsletter over at whistlekick.com. Check out everything that we've got going on. We just dropped a couple new newsletters yesterday, one for our general list, one for the wholesale customers, announcing a new program called Buy Whistlekick, where we co-brand apparel with martial arts schools. It's been a lot of fun. Some cool stuff coming out of it. If you want to watch this show later, we do an audio feed of it. I made the commitment in my calendar last week. That's going to happen once a week. I'm going to go through and do all that work once a week. Trying to become more efficient and patch things together. If you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. Yeah. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.